Guruve Gaura Chanjaya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Bhavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dhanavad Pranam devotees, I'm re-recording a question and answer session from yesterday. We had a storm here yesterday, and of course, I had some issues to attend to because of the storm. So I was unable to complete yesterday's session. So I'm just picking up and actually going through the whole thing because I didn't even bother to record the session yesterday because of dealing with a few shingles that came off the roof. But we didn't know exactly what was going on. And everybody is okay, so there's no harm or anything here. It was based on a question that was sent to me regarding the nature of how Bhakti comes to the Jiva. Because we've mentioned that the Jiva sojourn in the material world, those who are conditioned souls, is anadi. It has no beginning. So of course, in the context of the use of the word anadi, Jiva Goswami Pada said anadi means something that has no beginning, but it does have an end. So there is no perpetual existence in the material world. Dasabhuti Harieva Nanyasha Eva Kadachana. We cannot be perpetually something other than the actuality of what constitutionally we are, which is the Das of Krishna. How that specificity of Dasitva takes shape and unfolds is dependent on the nature of the process that one takes to in terms of spiritual unfoldment. So not all processes are the same. They don't all, exactly yield the same results. So this is why our acharyas have painstakingly gone through, whether it is Jiva Goswami Pad, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, even in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami Pad, they've all, and Srimad Bhagavatam itself, hence Sri Vyasadeva Ji, has pointed out the superiority of Bhakti, and in Bhakti, the superiority of Braj Bhakti. So superiority here is not like in the material world where ideas of superiority and inferiority carry a stigma to it. So it's not like that, because any kind of process of self-realization is in pursuit to some greater or lesser degree of serving and loving God. Every Upadharmic religion is to some degree a pursuit of loving and serving God, just that according to the nature of revelation present in that Upadharmic religion or other spiritual process, it may yield more or less realization about exactly what love and service to God is. Hence, Bhakti is noted because Anya Abhilasita Sunya Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishna Silanam Bhakti Uttama. So Bhakti is Anya Abhilasita Sunya. It is a process in which there is a desire. So it doesn't say no desire, it says Anya Abhilas. So any other desire except Anukulyena Krishna Anusilanam. Any other desire except for the Anukul Seva of Krishna is rejected. So this is paralleled in Srimad Bhagavatam in the second verse, which is called the Vastu Nideshtatmaka verse, Dhamma Projita Kaitavotra, Paramano Nimatsura Namsatam. That Srimad Bhagavatam, the reason it is held in such high esteem by everyone, but especially by Vaishnavas, is because Srimad Bhagavatam, paralleling this verse of Rupa Goswami Pad, Anyabhilasita Sunya, kicks out all ideas of religion or spiritual practice that doesn't lead to the goal of Anya Abhilasita Sunya. So bhakti is the pinnacle of the ideal of serving and loving God, and Braj Bhakti is the pinnacle of that. So the question is, how does bhakti really arise in the heart of the jiva in terms of what particular mode of service and etc. that the devotee has for serving and loving Sri Krishna? So here I'm going to read some from Srila Rupa Goswami Pad's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and discuss the role of, because this was the devotee's question, what was the role of samskaras and impressions? Well, samskaras and impressions means the same thing, or Sukriti, right? Because the verse is there. Bhakti, what is this verse? Bhagavad Bhakti stu sangena prajayate satsangya prapya pumbir tvija sukra purva sukriti sanjate. So this verse is there that one acquires the nature of sadhu sangha due to previously acquired sukritis. So here it's saying that in order to obtain bhakti, obviously, one has to have sadhu sangha. Bhagavad Bhakti is obtained by sadhu sangha. In the Madhurya Kadambini of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad, he very clearly explains where bhakti comes from. So first he goes to an analysis, is it possible that bhakti comes from Bhagavan? So then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, no, bhakti does not come from Bhagavan. Because Bhagavan, if he gave bhakti to various people and didn't give to others, then he would be attributed with what is called asamya dosh. Asamya dosh means partiality. So Bhagavan himself does not give bhakti. So then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur traces out, well then where does bhakti come from? So he concludes that bhakti comes from bhakti itself. One aspect of Srimati Radhika is Bhakti Devi. That Bhakti Devi Shakti is Bhakti itself. So Bhaktya Sanjatya Bhaktya. In the 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned Bhakti comes from Bhakti. But its method of being dispensed to the jiva is that it comes through the heart of the pure devotee. So I've explained this on many occasions too regarding the Pancha Tattva. Pancha Tattvakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. There are 5 truths or tattvas presented in the Pancha Tattva. The first is that Sri Bhagavan, in the pinnacle of tasting praying, in other words, what was experienced in Sri Krishna's Leela as the height of praying expressed by Srimati Radhika towards Sri Krishna, the height of that praying is then tasted by Krishna himself in Gaur Leela. So prem rasniyas karite ashwadan rag marg bhakti loke karite prachan. Right? So Krishna himself realizes the glory of the beauty, sweetness, charm, enchanting nature of Radhika's praying in Gaur Leela. Therefore Gaur Leela is called Prem Purushottam Leela. It is the pastime in which Krishna fulfills his desire to understand the glory of Srimati Radhika's love. Shri Radha Pranaya Mahima Kidraso Bhanyeva, etc. Right? So having tasted this prem, then the Lord, because the very nature of prem itself, one feature of prem is its karun nature. So in that verse, prem rasniyas karite ashwaran ragmag bhakti loke karite pracharan rasi shekara parama karun. That when the Lord appears as Mahaprabhu, he's parama karun. He's extremely merciful. And he arranges that this love or service to this type of love should be made available. So this is the meaning of the verse, Anarpita chidim chirat kanunuvatir nakalo samutpayatam unata ujwala rasa swabhakti sriyam. So swabhakti sriyam means beauty. So the beauty of the prem of Radhika, which Krishna has come to relish in Gaur Leela, is that it is available to the jiva to serve. Service to that kind of love of Radhika is called Palyadasi Bhav or Manjari Bhav. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu particularly came to give that, though in the course of giving that, Chari Bhakti Ras, the other 4 rasas are also given. But primarily he came to give this Swabhakti Sriyam to Unata Ujjvala Ras, the beauty of serving the kind of love that Radhika has towards Krishna. So because of that mood, a methodology for its dispensation to the jivas must take place. Because Bhagavan himself does not directly give prema, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakurpad. So Mahaprabhu himself did not directly give prema. Right? Rag Mag Bhakti Lok. The spontaneous mood of Braj Bhakti was given to the Bhaktalok. Bhaktalok here means all the pure devotees of previous incarnations. So it's quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prem Nayeva Goparamanam Kamam Iti Agamat Pratam Udava Adayo Apietan Vajanti Bhagavat Priya. All the pure devotees headed by Uddhava appear in Gaur Lila, and in the Sankirtan Ras Lila, in the courtyard of Srivas, they taste the intensity to their special Dashabhav towards Mahaprabhu. They taste the intensity of Braj Ras. This is the special gift to all the previous pure devotees, like Murari Gupta, who was Hanuman, like Haridas Thakur, who was the combination of Brahma and Prahalad. And in this way, you can go through in Gaura Ganadesh Deepika and see all the personalities who were in their previous incarnations, various associates of Bhagavan in different incarnations. They came into Gaur Lila and tasted this. What about those jivas who are Nadi Bada jivas, who've been bound in this world since time without beginning? Certainly, they must also be able to get the kripa or mercy of Mahaprabhu. Therefore, the first element of that is that the Lord manifests his own Swarup through the vehicle of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, the Bhakta Rup is called Mahaprabhu himself. Bhakta Swarup is Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Why? Because Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the personification of Akhanda Guru Tattva. He is the revelatory power to reveal what is Mahaprabhu. Hence, what is Radha and Krishna. Without the mercy of Nityananda, one cannot understand Mahaprabhu, and you cannot understand Radha Krishna. Understand? So, the very meaning of Bhakta Swarup is that he reveals the Swarup of Mahaprabhu. What is the actual nature of Mahaprabhu? That Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself tasting the mood of Srimati Radhika. But even when Nityananda Prabhu reveals this, and through the Leela of the deliverance of Jaggai and Madai, then he shows that this extreme nature of Paramakaruna of Mahaprabhu has actually come in him. And Chirara Tadamni Jaguptavitam Swanama Premamritatyadara Aphamara Yovitatara Gore. The most fallen persons, through the dispensation of this kind of Nam, which is imbued with praying, can be distributed to the Bada Jivas, and the lowest person can get the highest thing. So the lowest person, like Jaggai and Madai, can get the highest thing. You understand? But even when we analyze closely, Nityananda Prabhu delivered many souls. But the deliverance of Jaggai and Madai is also special because Jaggai and Madai are Jai and Vijay. Still, Nityananda Prabhu shows the path of the mercy of Akhanda Guru Tattva. And all of our Guru Vargas are the Prakash or manifestations of that Akhanda Guru Tattva as Vyasti Guru, individual Gurus. So, from Nityananda Prabhu, still, without the descent, that means the bringing to the plane of the Bada Jiva, this Bhakta Rup and Bhakta Swarup, the Jivas would never be able to access it. So Advaita Acharya is called Bhakta Avatar. He is the cause of the descent of the Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu, of course, was here, but overall it's considered that Advaita Acharya is the cause of the descent of Mahaprabhu, at which time Nityananda Prabhu will appear and interacting with Mahaprabhu will carry out his function. Even when it descends to this plane, it requires bhakti, because remember I quoted earlier, bhaktya sanjatya bhaktya. Bhakti comes from bhakti. Therefore, bhakti itself must appear in that Panchatattva. Therefore, Radhika herself appears in the Panchatattva as Sri Gadadhar Pandit. So now Bhakti Shakti is present. But even with all four of those things present, Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Srivas means Shri Bhakti Ras Hridaya Tvam Ataha Srivas Uchite. He is called Srivas because Sri Bhakti Ras is residing in his heart. And therefore the Srivas Angan is an expansion of Srivas's own heart, in which Braj Bhakti is being manifest in the form of Audodhya or magnificence, in the form of the Kirtan Ras taking place in the courtyard of his home. So without the pure devotee, who is represented by Srivas, no jiva can get bhakti. Therefore, the methodology, my whole point was the methodology by which the jiva gets bhakti is the association of pure devotees. It is also clearly mentioned. In one verse is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yadrichaya Makata Do, Jatasharasya Pumam. Nanirvano Nati Naati Sakto Bhakti Yoga Sasiddhidha. So one becomes eligible for bhakti if he is, Yadrichaya means by great fortune. By great fortune, Yadrichaya Makatado. By great fortune, if he becomes attracted to hearing from pure devotees, then he can develop Shraddha. He, she, I'm using generically here, can develop Shraddha. Therefore, what is the meaning of the word Yadrichaya? Because this word will be key to understanding what it is that creates the jiva's ability to contact a pure devotee. So, Adi Sridhar Swami, who wrote Bhavarta Deepika, the original commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, he's mentioned the word Yadrichaya means Atti Bhagyena. Atti Bhagyena, the word Atti in Sanskrit means excessive. Bhagyena means fortunate. So who's excessively fortunate? That's the person who can meet the pure Vaishnava and hear Harikatha. Right? Who's excessive? Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad, looking at that definition of Adi Sridhar Swami, he thought people may think that this excessive fortune is somehow derived from something within their purview, their karma, their material activities, because even in the verse, Purva Sukriti Purva Sanjate, there's mention of Purva Sukritis as a cause for getting the association of pure Vaishnavas. So he said, but still, even we cannot say Sukriti wholeheartedly is the only cause of getting the association of a pure Vaishnava. More prominent is the kripa of Bhagavan in that Vaishnava. So, Paramasvatantrita Bhagavad Bhakta Jatta Kripa Mangaludhai. The independent, Paramasvatantrita means independent, Bhagavad Bhakta, devotee empowered by Bhagavan, means pure Vaishnava. The kripa that they have is what comes into the play or comes into an intersection with the Sukriti of any jiva and causes the arrangement of a jiva having contact with the pure Vaishnava. So that kripa or that mercy is an indispensable part. So Yadrichaya is a key word here. So bhakti now will come from the association of these pure Vaishnavas. Now, is it their association alone which gives bhakti? There must be also something, my Guru Parapadma says, there's something also in the jivas. Because if the jivas had no ability to resonate with contact with the pure devotees or contact with bhakti, it wouldn't make any difference how it was made available to them if they had no capacity for it. So, being the dasitva by constitution of Krishna, being das of Krishna by constitution, is the sort of gata samskar, or the original impression in the heart that gives resonance, that when we will meet a pure Vaishnava, and by their kripa, and by our interest, right? Because not until a person develops some interest, because even though the Vaishnava may be very merciful, if the person has no desire, then it also will not take place. and Krishna doesn't force. So one will have to come to the stage like Sanatana Goswami Pad when he was with Mahaprabhu. On behalf of the Bada Jivas, he asked two very important questions. Ke ami, kene amai, jare tapatrai. Who am I and why am I suffering? Until this mati, means discriminatory consideration, comes in a Bada Jiva, they may not take any interest in spiritual paths. What to speak of bhakti. But when this discriminatory element arises in the consciousness of the jiva, right? At that time, they'll ask, oh, who am I? There must be more than this material world. Why am I suffering in this material world? At that point, their eligibility becomes kind of ripe now to receive the mercy of a sadhu. And now, Yadrichaya, combined with the creeper of a sadhu, that contact can be made. So now, also it's been analyzed, as I quoted earlier, that also there's some Sukriti. Sukriti also plays some role in everything. So Sukriti Purva Sanjate. That means previously I gave a donation to someone who was selling a book. I took some prasad. I heard a Harinam party. I did something to support Vaishnavas in any way, somehow or another. So all of these various Bhakti Unmukhi Sukritis, they also contribute to allowing the jiva to come to that position of viveki, means to contemplate what's beyond just this material world, and also avails them to Yadrichaya, the creeper of a sadhu. At that time, in any given life, when they start to develop those impressions coming from a sadhu, then over the course of some lives, we can't say how many, right? Over the course of some lives, those impressions build. And those impressions then become the basis under which the unfoldment of a particular type of taste in bhakti arises, right? So let me read directly. I've already explained the first part from Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So now we're at the point where we're discussing the how a particular taste of service arises. And I just want to make sure I've got all of this marked so I don't spend so much time. Okay, I do have it all marked off here. So I'm just going to read first one verse, which is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this is in the second, in the first wave, 216, right? So it mentions, Praktana adukini chasti yasya sat bhakti vasana esha bhakti rasa aswadyas tasya eva riddhi jayate. That the bhakti samskaras or bhakti ras arises in the heart of a person who has had experiences of pure bhakti in previous and present life. So it's saying some contact with pure bhakti, meaning with a pure Vaishnava, has taken place over the course of not only this life, but in previous lives. And these impressions coming from the association with pure bhakti, they are maturing through increments of our unfoldment. From Shraddha to Sadhu Sangha, to Bhajana Kriya. By Bhajana Kriya, anarthas are removed, so anartha nivritti. After anarthas are removed, the chitta becomes very calm. Nischalaya, yasha, iti nishta. This is called the stage of nishta. And then when we continue to hear Harikatha, a particular taste arises in the Harikatha of the Vaishnava and in the process of bhajan. Tat tat bhava adi madhure shute dirapekshate nasa sastrana yuktings cha ta lobat utpatti lakshanam. At that point, when we hear Harikatha, the vetting process of Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra is always present. But it's not required to taste the sweetness of the Harikatha you're hearing. So let me give an understanding. If you want to cook halava for others to taste, you'll need to know the ingredients, the preparatory methods, how long should I cook it, what ingredients are there, what things should I add, right? Because in order to make halava for someone, you'll need to understand all of these elements. But for yourself, if you are eating halava, is there any requirement that you need to understand how it was prepared in order to relish how it tastes? No. You understand? So here he's saying that at the stage of ruchi, which first is in bhajan, at that point, even though there may be so much sastra gyan, there may be so much knowledge present, but that knowledge is not necessary to taste the sweetness of the harikatha. You understand? So this stage is called ruchi. When that ruchi becomes more mature, it becomes ruchi towards bhajaniya. And here, bhajaniya means the object of your bhajan. So it means towards Mahaprabhu Radha Krishna. And at that time, an unquenchable thirst for a particular mood of service comes in the heart. Tasya tadrasa surukaraka bhasa samulasita hridoya spotika mani. Tasya ragatmakaya bhakti paripatishu api ruchi jayate. Jiva Goswami is quoted in Bhakti Sandarbha. That at that time, the abhas of the mood of an eternal associate reflects on the chitta of the jiva. At that time, the jiva now has a fixed do or die, I want to serve in this mood. Before that, the prabhav, or the influence of a particular mood was there, because from the time that you received diksha, the devotee was practicing bhakti with sambandha gyan. So it wasn't like the practice was just without any understanding. Other than that, it's not really, it may be Sukriti, but it's not true practice of bhakti. But when practicing with sambandha gyan received at the time of diksha, divya gyanam yanta shimati mantre bhagavad swarup gyanam tenam bhagavad sambandha visesh gyanamscha. Because at the time of diksha from bona fide guru, one receives two things: divya gyan and kshiyate papanasam, the shakti of power to, when taking shelter of guru, to remove the nature or the tendencies towards sinful life and anarthas, and the power through divya gyan to understand who is my worshipable objective, my Ishtadev, and what particular type of relationship do I have with that Ishtadev. So that samskar, or impression that's put into the heart via Sri Guru, right? This is Guru Krishna Prasade Poi Bhakti Latabij. This is Guru giving the seed of bhakti to the jiva. And the jiva also has something. I mentioned this in the beginning. So the jiva has capacity for all of these things in potentiality. So because the potential for all of these things is there, just like a piece of iron has the inherent potential that when a magnet comes, it will be attracted. That's built into the magnet and built into the piece of iron. So in the same way, the jiva also has something in them. Srila Gurudev used to always say, something is also there in the jiva. So I just heard a lecture very recently of my Guru Parapadma, and he mentioned, he had one devotee explain, yes, there's a potency, potentiality in the jiva that resonates with the particular mood, instruction, harikatha, everything given by that guru. So it's not accidental, it's not haphazard. It has come from the unfoldment of impressions over lifetimes, right? So now, once this mood comes, this is called asakti. Asakti means when that abhas or shadow is cast on the chitta, then it means that whatever is casting that shadow must be very nearby. So what is casting the shadow? The mood of one of the eternal associates. Shri Rup Manjari, right? Shri Rati Manjari, if it's Manjari Bhav, Subal, etc. If it's in Sakya Rasa. You understand? That's casting a bas on the heart. So that mood that the eternal associates have is composed of the Swarup Shakti, which is the Ladini, Sambhit, and Sandhini Shaktis of Bhagavan. So that means that Sambhit, Ladini, and Sambhit, Sambhit, Ladini, and Sandhini are very nearby, because if it's casting a shadow, that means the substance which is casting that shadow is nearby. So in the stage of a Shakti, it means that actually Bhav is very close. So only it awaits for the descent by the mercy of Bhakti Devi for that Swarup Shakti to come onto the Chitta. Then Sura Sattva Viseshatma Prem Suyam Samibat Ruchi Vishchita Masanya Kridaso Babu Chite. At that time, that ruchi, what you have developed, that ruchi now melts the chitta, means melts away false ego, the whole idea of avidya, everything is melted away. And now it presents the realized what is this verse? Tat Seva Abhista Yogi Dehinam. The Abhista Deha. It means the form, what you desire to render a particular kind of service, is then revealed on the chitta. And in this stage, the devotee has the understanding of their eternal swarup. Means, what is my actual form, name, service, mood, etc., etc. So they use the 11 things called Ekadas Bhav. That appears on the chitta clearly. And the jiva can now see that. But they still also have a sadhaka deha. So in the two verses Srila Rupa Goswami Pad quotes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu regarding Raganuga Bhakti, one is Seva Sadhika Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatrihi Tad Bhavalipsunakara Vraja Lokanusarita. So having these two forms, the jiva will perform his bhajan internally in that siddha root which has been realized in the stage of bhav. And in their external sadhaka body, they'll continue Shravanam Kirtanandani, Vairi Bhakti Sudanti too, doing all the elements of practice that they've been doing for years and years and years. They'll still arise early in the morning, doing stav and stuti to Sri Guru, attending Mangalarti, doing Tulsi Parikrama, doing Shwadhyay means your study, doing preaching seva, Thakurji seva. So all those things will remain, right? And they'll aspire to follow the mood of Rup Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, but also directly their own Gurudev, because their Gurudev is a personification of that. So how my Gurudev was doing bhajan. And then also at this stage, having realized your own Swarup, you can clearly understand the Swarup of your Gurudev. So now Vishrambhena Guru Seva comes to the platform where you can internally serve with your realized form, with your Gurudev and his realized Siddha Swarup. This is the meaning of the 6th stanza of Guru Astakam we sing every morning. Nikunja yuno rati keli sidai yajalibir yuktir apekshaniyai tatra vidaksharati bhalavasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. The stage in which you realize your Swarup and the Swarup of your Shri Gurudev. Oh, my Shri Gurudev is so-and-so Manjari, and I'm serving with my Gurudev internally. Externally, I'm following same as my Gurudev is in this world. My Gurudev is doing sadhan bhajan, traveling, preaching, so many different things. Understand? Finally, for more evidence of this fact, let's read from another verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in which we'll read the Tika of Srila Jiva Goswami Pad and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Alright, so let's go to the shlok first. Yatotaram aso shwada visesha ulashamayapi rati vashanaya swaddi bashite kapi kasyachit. The 5 types of rati are progressively from Sudha Rati, meaning praying, Dasharati, to Priyato Rati, meaning conjugal rasa, Madhurya rasa, become more blissful by increasing taste. The particular taste arises in a devotee according to his previous experiences. So here, Rupa Goswami Pad is confirming what we've been speaking throughout, which is the role of samskaras or impressions from both previous lives and this life in shaping the particular attraction to a particular mood or taste of seva in the devotee. All jivas, every jiva is eligible for any particular rasa of service to Krishna. Through the means which we've spoken about in this presentation here, a particular mood unfolds in their heart. Now, I want to clarify something. It is also sometimes looked at that whatever is ultimately realized, because it is realized as an eternal reality, means it's eternal. That means it was always existing. So then the idea becomes, if when I realize my eternal perfection, it was realized as a cowherd boy, for instance, that means I've always been that. That means throughout my entire Southern Bhajan life, even when I didn't know it, I was a cowherd boy. So you can look at things from that angle of vision. Also, sometimes it's said, both Krishna and Shri Guru, being on the platform of eternality, they can also see what is my eternal form. No harm. And therefore, whatever my form is, it must be always existing. Therefore, it's also existing right now. Right? So this is also one angle of vision. And it is not wrong or false. But I've heard my Sri Guru Pada Padma mention, we should try to understand from the angle of vision where we genuinely are. This will create less of a chance of the arising of Sahajavad or arising of any misconceptions. So we should think, according to my adhikar, where am I now? And we will keep aspirational mood towards what that perfection we seek is. Do you understand this point? In other words, where am I now in the process of unfoldment from Shraddha to Bhav? Where am I? We can take examination. Gurudev said, check your Bhakti pulse. And in this way, we can get clear understanding where in adhikar am I in the unfoldment of the process of Bhakti. I will practice Bhakti according to Sambandha Gyan given by my Gurudev, and progressively I should have epiphanies and revelations coming in the heart that illuminate and enlighten that Sambandha Gyan given by Gurudev. But I don't want to perhaps jump to the stage of considering, oh, I already have all of these things, I'm already a Manjari, etc., etc. In your eternal realized Swarup, that may be the fact. And because it is eternal, it is an eternally existing phenomenon. But because I'm not on the platform of eternal experience, safer, better, to, according to what our acharyas and our Guru Pada Padma has told, to follow in that modality where I am is what I can see. That's genuine. So though that's a not wrong angle of vision, it may not be the best mood of service. If my Guru Pada Padma will say, and I've heard my Gurudev say, you have a very beautiful form, very beautiful shape, so mood of service, everything is already there. You just have to uncover it and practice. This is Gurudev's giving Shakti, creep, and encouragement to us. But you have to take your own pulse. Do I actually realize I'm this Sukkha, this Manjari? We have to take that pulse genuinely. And then we can have context to Srila Gurudev's statements. You understand? It's just like, unfortunately, some, in order to try to capture that mood prematurely, thought simply by hearing from someone I have faith in that I am a Manjari and receiving Ekadas Bhav, it made it so. Because I heard it from someone who is a pure Vaishnava, then that means that's it. But still, we saw that many cases like that where people ended up falling away or going away. So how could that be possible? Because the very nature of realization of Swarup Shakti means that a relationship is developed and Savata Dongsa Raitam Yarapi Dongsa Karane. Once the relationship with Krishna is fully developed, there's no cause of breaking it. Even if there was a cause, it doesn't break. So it indicates that the actual realization, even have you heard it, the actual realization was not there. So safest methodology is what our acharyas have written down in Guru Parampara and following that method. Where am I now? Now, oh, I have not realized my siddhi. I'm maybe have nishta. I may be coming into ruchi. I may be in the stage of removing anarthas. Wherever you are genuinely, honestly, you can assess along with your Guru Pada Padma, that place you'll understand the nature of where you need to go and where you are now. Right? So the imposition of having something is really, really irrelevant at this point. Right? Because for you, if it's not realized, it's not relevant, right? You're in pursuit, in aspiration of it. And that Sri Gurudev told, oh yes, you have this Manjari Roop, right? Because if Gurudev is speaking in a larger audience generically, he's speaking from inspiration for you. If Gurudev tells you directly person to person, Gurudev is revealing your Swarup. You understand? So I'm just speaking for context here. So let's read what Rupa Goswami Pada said. I've already quoted the shlok. Yatatara mashu shwada vishesha ulashamayapi rati vashanaya shuddhi bhashate kapi kasyachit. So Jiva Goswami's, well, translation of it, I've already said, but here's Jiva Goswami's commentary. After the 5 types of rati have been described, a doubt may arise. Should all these types be considered equal or successively superior? So here he's saying, in terms of the taste yielded to the devotee and in relation to what is pleasing to Bhagavan, should we consider that all of the various ratis are the same, or do they have some successive superiority? So to jump ahead, of course in Ramananda Samvad, the superiority of Madhurya Rasa has been established. Right? If you look at everything from a neutral point of view, he said, then you can understand that Madhurya Rasa is greater because it gives more pleasure to Bhagavan. Now, we cannot look at this from the angle of vision of our own self-interest. Well, that's a shame because I wanted Sakya Rasa. And if you're telling me Sakya Rasa is inferior, I'm not happy. Or you're telling me Vatsalya Rasa is not as good, I'm unhappy. So this is not at all how you do a metric of evaluation of transcendental rasa. Every rasa, Chaitanya Charitamrita has established, is completely nourishing, satisfying, and fulfilling, and the all in all for that devotee who has that rasa. So there is no metric of comparison that, oh, it's inferior compared to how you feel. Every Vaishnava, with whatever rasa they have, feel complete. That's why he says, Tatashta vicharale taratama. From a neutral analysis, you can say like this, Madhurya Rasa is superior. Right? So continuing. If they are equal, then all the ratis should have the same inclinations. So what he's getting at is that if all the rasas are equal, then whatever you are inclined towards, it's the same. So he's saying, but if they are successively superior, what is the cause for differing inclinations in different devotees? What makes it, if they're all the same, that doesn't matter because everything just is, whatever inclination you have is the same as any other inclination. But what gives a person inclination towards Sakya Rasa, Madhurya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, etc.? This verse answers. So he's saying this verse is what answers. Increasing from first to last, Yata Uttaram, right? From Sudarati all the way to Priyatarati, means Madhurya Rasa, they become progressively filled with taste or delight. So there is a crumb or progression of taste that is experienced by Bhagavan, hence by the devotee, of greater taste when you look at it neutrally, from Sudarati all the way up to Madhurya Rasa. But what determines who takes up which type of rati? It is described by having no impressions of a particular rati from previous lives, or is it by having impressions of one type of rati from previous lives, or is it by having impressions of many types of rati? So that's the question. Has what mood you have, has it come from there were no connection with previous impressions at all, or is because there were many impressions that were there, or was it because there was one impression that was dominant? So he's going to answer this question now. In the first option, the absence of impressions, rati cannot occur at all because no taste could arise. So he's saying if there were no previous impressions in previous lives, then there couldn't have been a possibility that a taste for a particular mode of service would have arisen in your heart. It definitely means that there were previous impressions. So now the question is Is it many types of impressions or is it one type? In the case of a person who has impressions of many types of rati, a particular kind of rati could not manifest prominently because of conflicting tastes would result, and the improper manifestation of ras or bas would occur. So he's saying that it could not be that there were many different kinds of rati going on and then suddenly you just pick this one. Right? So he's saying here, therefore, the impressions of only one type carried from previous lives produce the specific taste that we have. Right? Though not being in a position to perceive it. In other words, we cannot look back and see when it started, how it worked. So he says, not being in a position to perceive the depth of that ras, one can confirm its identity by comparing scriptural descriptions of ras. In other words, now by hearing Harikatha from Sri Guru, and your attraction comes. Oh, I like the way that Rup Manjari is serving to Radhika. I like the mood of Subhal, how he's serving to Shri Krishna. I like the mood of Mother Yashoda, etc., etc. Now, the prominence of that mood may appear in a different sampradaya even. I really accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I want to serve him as a servant. That mood of Dasharati towards Krishna may be prominent in Sri Sampradaya. The mood of Vatsalya Prem may be prominent in Vallabh Sampradaya. Right? There's nuances here, so I'm generalizing here. I've heard my Guru Parapadma speak like this. Right? Certainly the mood of Braj Ras, Manjari Bhav, is prominent in the line of Mahaprabhu. So, lastly he says, and by inference through hearing and seeing these different rasas, from the position of one's own taste or ras, it either nourishes or fails to nourish it. So therefore one can see from what one is experiencing if you've come to that level. If still we are dealing with the levels of anartha nivritti, etc., etc., this conversation is not so prominent. But if you've come to the level where there's some ruchi, etc., then in consultation with Guru, he can do ruchi pariksha, examine that ruchi, confirm it, and give the necessary shiksha to help crystallize it. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's tika in this regard. Among the various tastes, and he's giving an example, such as sweet, sour, bitter, a particular person has a particular liking because of previous impressions. Because of impressions from past life of a particular rasa, such as dasha, etc., in this life also the person has that taste alone and not others, by the mercy of a great devotee with a similar taste. This is the case of, this is the case for the two types of dasha and other three higher rasa. So he's saying this is the case being made in this verse for how dasya rasa and the vatsalya, sakya, madhurya rasa, etc., how they are developed in the aspirant. So to kind of summarize, my point here was to answer the question of the devotee, what role that samskaras and sukritis plays, samskaras and sukriti plays in the unfoldment or development of the mood of service or rasa that a aspirant develops. So I've read from Rupa Goswami Pad. My Gurudev gave a lecture in Holland in 1998 in which he has mentioned these same factors about both sukriti, to get sadhu sangha, about previous lives impressions. So he's gone over all of this. Also, he spoke about the potentiality that's present in the jiva. Therefore, within the jiva, there's also a connecting reality. In other words, if there was no potential for these things, then it doesn't matter that they existed or how they existed. There would be no resonating factor between the jiva and these realities, right? So hopefully this was helpful, both Prabhuji and your good wife, to answering your question. And again, I've tried to combine actually bringing out Oh, and maybe I should have given reference to where those things are. I did give the reference for the first verse, I believe. The last verse I just read is going to be in the fifth wave, and it's 2.5.38. 2.5.38 in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And I did give the reference for the first one. Praktana adurki chasti yasad bhakti vasana. I gave the reference for that verse. All right, so hopefully this was very helpful, and hopefully it will add to understanding. So I always do these things for my own edification, of course, because it forces me, though I love to do it, to also look at the continuum. Oh, one more reference, if you want to understand this. In Jaiva Dharma, chapter 26, right in the very beginning of that chapter, which is Introduction to Rasa, then Brajanath Prabhu asked this question to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He asked the question, is Ras something that is predetermined? And Gopal Guru Goswami answers, this is not a question that can be answered yes or no. I will explain it to you, and from the explanation you will be able to understand. So then he goes on to explain to him about the very things we just read here. That the Sthai Bhav, which has developed from previous impressions and current life impressions. So he goes on and explains that. Then he explains how that Sthai Bhav mixes with Vibhav, Anubhav, Sattvic Bhav, and Vyabhichari Bhavs to create Bhakti Rasa. So that's another reference. Jaiva Dharma chapter 26, right in the very beginning of that chapter. All right, my Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji and your good wife, and also all devotees who are watching. And again, as always, I encourage devotees, especially senior devotees, to make any corrections and to comment also here. And if anyone has questions from that, they can also inquire. Sometimes if I've already made a presentation on a particular question, I may not redo a whole session like this on it, but I may just answer personally. All right. Vancha kalpaturubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jai Radhe Radhe.